Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Chinist. Today is February 21st, Wednesday, new comic book day. I have my absolutely massive stack of 35 total with 28 individual titles. So quite a few duplicates this week, great duplicates. And I have read through this stack this week, surprisingly, even though it's like the largest stack I've ever had in 1 week. So, first up from DC, we have The Brave and the Bold. So traditionally this has been a team up with Batman and someone else. You know, they kind of mix up the DC characters who they kind of involve. So this one, I give the artwork on this one, I felt the artwork was phenomenal. You know, I really give this one maybe like a 4.5 out of 5 for this title. However, you know, the storyline, in my opinion, was a little bit slow. So, you know, I don't believe I will be picking up part 2 of this one. But as this title progresses, of course, there'll be other interesting characters, you know, that'll team up with Batman, and I will pick up those in the future. Alright, next up, another Batman, we have Batman the Signal. So, you know, I really did not know too much about the Signal other than, you know, really got introduced to the Signal here in this title. That number 1 I thought was really excellent, you know, to where I actually subscribed to this title. This issue was not as good as the first, you know, as good as the impression that the first left on me, but still a little bit more insight into the Signal's powers and how he kind of ticks. So yeah, good issue overall. Okay, another number 1, we have Batman Sins of the Father. So this one actually came from a video game, from Batman the Telltale series. So I did not play that game. I'm unaware of the storyline. This one was pretty good so far. So the premise here is that Bruce Wayne's father, what is his name? Thomas Wayne. So when he was alive, he really utilized his power to kind of like an evil extent. So he had Arkham Asylum that was built, and he actually committed people and utilized drugs to make sure that they were insane. You know, to actually force them to stay at Arkham Asylum. So I'm not really sure. I don't think that this is in regular continuity. You know, to my knowledge, Thomas Wayne never did that in the standard continuity. But yeah, here he is here, really administering. You know, they have him, you know, evidence, and you know, there's not really, you know, I don't think that Bruce Wayne feels that there's any trickery that's going on here to where his father actually did this. So he's facing, you know, the sins that his father committed, you know, a generation ago. Okay, next up from DC, we have Super Sons. Man, I love this title. You know, from issue number 1 all the way through, this title has been superb. So you have Damian Wayne and Jonathan Kent. You know, 2 great, excellent characters, you know, standalone in my opinion. So when you put them together, man, I thought that they just really clicked. I think the chemistry between the 2 is, you know, really there in my opinion. So this one really focuses around Talia al Ghul coming back to take Damian to do some missions, and you know, I guess I didn't realize it. You know, I've been involved ever since they got together, but Jonathan never realized that Damian was a trained assassin. He thought, I guess he's believed this whole time that it's just been Batman who has trained him, but so he really has no clue to his past. I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, next up, Justice League. So that last issue of People versus Justice League, that's the current story arc, but I thought that last one was excellent. So this one was not as good as that outer space mission that they were on, but still pretty good. You know, I really enjoy, and let me find that one page, they're bringing into a lot of science aspects into this storytelling here, which I love. And you know, I'm straight up like Big Bang Theory type of person, but yeah, here it was. So it's Flash kind of explaining how they're going to you know, kind of contain this this evil element that kind of came up in this issue. I won't give away too much, but Flash kind of explaining how, you know, at a atomic level, you know, what's really going on, and you know, how the team is going to be able to operate together. So yeah, man, I really love that science aspect that I guess Joey Priest is bringing into play here. Okay, next up, Trinity. So we have the Holy Trinity, who's over in a little mashup with Warlord that's going on right now. Never really knew too much about Warlord as a character, this one issue did not really impress me too much. You know, I'll leave it here. I thought this was the funniest part, but you know, they're like in a fantasy type of world right now. So there's an issue with them flying. I think right now only Wonder Woman could fly, but she couldn't carry the other two. So here was their solution to get around in this land. They're riding unicorns. So I thought that was hilarious. But overall, this issue was not, I don't know, a little bit subpar. Alright, opposite from subpar, man, we have Damage. Damage number 2, man, so number 1 blew me away. I did not think it was going to be that good. I really felt, just reading through it, I felt it was a Hulk ripoff. And, you know, it kind of is, you know, still, but, man, this character is really standing up on his own at this point in time, in my opinion. They are really doing this one well. So, you know, all this, what is it, New Heroes, or New Age of Heroes, it's really based on the artwork, is my understanding, and that's why they're putting the artist's name up front. And this artwork does not disappoint, in my opinion, man. This artwork has been phenomenal, in my opinion. So yeah, Damage may be my number 1 or 2 new favorites that's come out so far. I think Sideways, I really enjoyed Sideways, but Damage is either number 1 or number 2. Okay, next up we have Future Quest, and this one is really centered around Birdman. So this one concludes the story arc for Birdman at number 7. So I'm actually going to swap over to Trade at this point in time. So, you know, I feel that overall DC has really rebooted that Hanna-Barbera world. Man, excellent, man. Excellent job, in my opinion. You know, they really brought back, you know, who these characters were, like the essence of these characters, and kind of updated them, you know, to a slight extent. Not too much. They didn't really tinker too much with these traditional characters here. But man, the storylines they put together so far, man, excellent, excellent stuff. So if you were a Hanna-Barbera fan, you should really try to check out this title in Trade. Okay, next up, DC IDW, we have Batman TMNT. This is part 2. Excellent storyline, guys. If you enjoyed that first volume 1 that came out, this really, you know, that same feel that you had from the first one really lends itself to this volume number 2. You also have a great storylines going on. So now, you know, Bane has kind of come into contact with the Foot Clan. And he's lended the Venom serum to everyone. And you know what you see here, you have a great massive battle that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, along with Batman and Robin, they really get defeated. I mean, they really get their asses handed to them, and they kind of come up with a new plan. Donatello's kind of tinkering with the thought of utilizing the Venom serum himself, that you kind of see here on the cover title, or the cover page. But man, great storyline, guys. If you're into either of these characters, then try to check it out. Okay, another number 1 from Vertigo Comics, we have Deathbed. The premise of this one sounded pretty good, but I really wanted to flip through it before I subscribed to it. Man, after reading this one, I will be subscribing. Man, I thought the artwork, as you see here, man, I thought it was great. You know, I really give this artwork maybe like a 4.25 out of 5, in my opinion. Man, I really enjoy the artwork here. Storyline pretty cool. So you have this guy. This you know, this guy has been like an adventurer. You don't have too much background information, but here he is, kind of like, you know, all over the world. He's lived like different lives. They don't really explain like how old he is, but the main character, the girl, is hired to write as a ghostwriter, to write an autobiography of this guy. You know, this guy has, you know, extreme adventurous life, so he has the a little risque there, the utmost, you know, best stories to tell. So he's going to go out around the world, and she's going to kind of follow him to kind of be a cartographer of his adventures. So man, this one seemed pretty good. Again, I enjoy the artwork, and you know, some pretty good funny dialogue happens here. So yeah, Deathbed, check it out, guys. Okay, moving on to Marvel. So we get into, this is Doctor Strange and Damnation number 1. This was the Young Guns variant. Of course, they have that Young Guns variant that's been going out for, I think this is number 4, cover number 4. So yeah, happy to pick this one up. I was actually able to get 2 of these bad boys, man. Love it. So, cover by Javier Garron. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly or not, but enjoy this cover. I actually did not read this storyline. So this is Donny Cates as well. This is like a little mini series. I think it's like 6 issues that kind of folds into the other main story arc that's going on right now. So this is also another cover. I think this is cover C, I think. So this was, again, Damnation #1. This is the Mephisto trading card. So yeah, happy to pick up that one up as well. Okay, then we get into Infinity Countdown Prime. So yeah, so Infinity is a new storyline that's about to be coming out. They really started crossing over like the comic, version of the Stones along with the MCU, the cinematic universe that's going on right now. So if you were not too involved, if you don't know too much about the Stones, man, this one is really going to give you a lot of that background. So we also finally get into Logan. So this is actually the most they've shown of Logan to date, and man, great action scene, man. I love seeing the old Logan in action. So this one also brings into play Loki. I won't give away too much storyline, and yeah, so let me pass it. Y'all really need to see, they kind of exchange a handshake, so to speak. Y'all have to see what Wolverine does to Loki, man. Hilarious, great stuff. So guys, yeah, if you want to pick up that Infinity Stone storyline that's coming out here pretty soon, I highly suggest to pick up this countdown. And let me flip to the back real quick. They actually also had, here are the titles that are coming out, and at the end of this one they had a great history of the Stones. They really explained like what happened in the Infinity Gauntlet. If you didn't collect back then, or if you really did not read through that storyline, this one kind of summarizes kind of what happened all the way through Secret War, and how the Stones kind of adapted a little bit to be more in line with the Disney MCU. So yeah, guys, check it out, man. A lot of history on the Stones. Okay, next up, Astonishing X-Men. So again, I'm picking up all the X-Men titles right now. Man, I love them all. So here in the Astonishing X-Men, you have Professor X, who actually came back, and he's now in the body of, man, what is that guy's name? Phantom X. So in this issue, man, I don't know, so again, I took a huge hiatus from like 2000 to 2016. I did not read any comics at all. I am lacking, I have a lot of the X-Men in trade that I'm kind of piling up that I have not read through yet, so I'm missing a lot of storyline. And I really felt that this issue, it was strange how Professor X was acting. I know he's reincarnated, but it's still him, and I just really felt that he acted out of character in this one issue. So I don't know if it's just something that I missed because I haven't read, Professor X in a while, but I don't know, man, something seems out of place. So I don't know if there's something hidden in here, or if I'm catching on to like a hidden storyline, or I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, love the X-Men, and it's great coming back to them. Still on that X-Men run, X-Men Gold. So this one kind of, so they came from the Negative Zone, and you kind of, at the end of this one, kind of see like a little aftermath of that one. This one really focuses, though, again on Mephisto. I'm sorry, not Mephisto, Mesmero, and he's a great character. I guess I never realized how strong this guy was. But again, he was resurrecting the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So this one kind of focuses on that storyline there. Great stuff. Again, if you love the X-Men, it's hard to say which title to pick up because each one kind of focuses on a little bit different team and what they're kind of going after. But man, check out all the titles if you can, guys. Okay, next up we have Venom. So I typically do not pick up Venom. I kind of feel he's really oversaturated the comic scene, the Marvel scene right now, in my opinion. But this was a crossover of the Poison X story arc that happened with X-Men Blue team. So this one followed, I think it was like X-Men Blue, where is it, 21. And you come into this Venom number 162. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So overall, you have the symbiotes. There's like the symbiote, slave trader, so to speak, who's got involved with Scott's father, who's the leader of the Starjammers. I forgot what his name was. But you have the X-Men Blue. Each one of the Blue team actually teamed up with a symbiote, and they kind of became like a little bit different characters. They're still in control, but you kind of see, that typical storyline of, when they start merging and, hear the strengths and weaknesses. Pretty cool stuff, so if you're into Venom, and into X-Men, this is a cool crossover. Personally right now, I'm a little bit Venom out, in my opinion, so I don't know. I just didn't really receive this overall story arc very well, from a personal point of view. Okay, next up we have the Mighty Thor. So I typically do not pick up the Mighty Thor as an ongoing series on a monthly basis. Kind of pick it up every now and again if there's key issues kind of coming out. I'm kind of on the outside of the storyline. I kind of keep up with it just through YouTube, kind of know what's going on. So I was aware that this one was kind of like a crossroads for Jane Foster. Of course, right now Jane Foster is Thor, and every time that she touches the hammer, her cancer goes away. However, every time that she does that, all of her chemo that she has had to try to get rid of her cancer is basically reset. So essentially, when you boil it down, every time she touches the hammer, she's getting closer to death as a human, as Jane Foster. So in this one issue, it kind of came, to the crossroads. She has to make a decision going forward. So I kind of wanted to get this one, kind of read through it myself, but do not pick this up as ongoing. But this one was very interesting, guys. So on that note, I was able to pick up one variant, which was the Hulk variant. I forgot who did this title, and I don't see it. Kirkham? But I don't recognize that name, but I thought it was pretty cool just because it had like that Japanese, veiny type of look to Hulk. I thought that was pretty neat. So on that Hulk variant run, I got one more. This is actually the Incredible Hulk, and they're doing like the Hulk world, right now. But yeah, so happy to pick up two Hulk variants. I think there's two more that I saw on the shelf. I think was not too interested in those though. Okay, next up, Avengers number 681, part 7. So this is No Surrender story arc. So I am not reading through this one on a monthly basis, but just because it's selling out, the collector in me, I went back and I was able to get all the back issues. So I got 1 through 7 right now, a couple issues number 1. But I'm going to be picking this one up in trade once all the storylines out. I want to read it all together. But I know that this is a good storyline. If you are an Avengers fan to any degree, you really need to go pick this one up, guys. Okay, next up, another one I typically do not read. This is really more for speculation. So I was able to get 2 copies of this one. There were more. I didn't want to hoard too many copies though. I kind of felt bad, but there's about 4 left on the shelf at one LCS. The other LCS had 0. All the subs pulled them. So this is really in speculation for this guy. So you have Norman Osborn, who's finally merged along with Carnage, and he's becoming, the Red Goblin. So this is really for a speculation buy. I am not picking up the Amazing Spider-Man as a regular ongoing series. Okay, next up from Image we have Maestros. Man, I love this title. So this title is very similar, somewhat similar, akin to Curse Words, except this is very much more adult and more sexual oriented. So, you could say, of course, Curse Words has some, there are some sexually oriented, situations that happen and some adult situations, but, I would say Curse Words is kind of like a rated R. This is more rated X. So, if you're into magic, if you're into, more of the sexual oriented type of storylines, a lot of gore that kind of goes on here, man, this is your title. Man, this is right up my alley. I love this type of storyline. So yeah, this is it for me, Maestros. Love it. All right, man. Next up from Image again, we have Moonshine. So Moonshine was on a hiatus. I think they took like a 4-month break. I think maybe like a 5-month break. I think October maybe was the last one that came out. So this one kind of kicks off a new storyline. I forgot what the main character's name was, but you kind of see him kind of going through. These people on this train know that he's a werewolf. Know that he's been infected. Kind of start talking him through, situations and things kind of coming up. But good storyline, good issue to kind of come back into this world again. And I missed this artwork. I forgot about this artwork, but the lack of the multiple colors, kind of gives it that more of like that graphic art, feel to it, and it just kind of hits you more, in my opinion. So yeah, Brian Azzarello, man, great job on the storytelling. Okay, next up we have Regressin number 7. So I was off and on this title. I don't have them all. I was sometimes it interested me, sometimes not, but this one really kind of gave you like a little bit more understanding of what has been going on. And what you come to find out is, when he went into his regression mode, when he started seeing things, the reason why is because you find out that, there's like this society who have actually lived multiple lives. and this is why he's having these visions. So this guy apparently in his past life was part of a cult, and this is why he's going through all these weird visions. So this was like a pretty cool, issue that kind of like started summing up, what has been going on, because, man, it's been like a slow burn. So yeah, it kind of all came together, man. Cullen Bunn, kind of brought it all together as issue number 7. Okay, next up from Mark Millar, we have Hit Girl. So this comes out of the Kick-Ass, story, or I'm sorry, the Kick-Ass world. So I picked up Kick-Ass, that reboot of Kick-Ass that came out last week. I am not too sure about the continuity between that current Kick-Ass, who's military-based female, versus this. This is the original Hit Girl that came out in Kick-Ass Volume number 1 and 2. So I'm not really sure how they kind of mesh together, because you see another Kick-Ass here in this one title that she's been trying to train that didn't really work out too well, but it's not that current female. So I'm not really sure on the continuity, guys. If you know, please comment down below. I enjoyed, this one issue, but I think this is something that's better in trade, for me personally. So yeah, happy to pick up number 1, but I think I'm gonna pick this one up in trade. Okay, next up, Ice Cream Man. Man, so I love that issue number 1. So I picked up, this is cover A, and I picked up 2 cover A's, and I read through this cover B. So I actually enjoyed this cover B cover a little bit more, I think just because of the colors, the vivid colors that are kind of going on. So overall, this is kind of like a scary anthology, in a sense, kind of like a Tales from the Crypt, to where, you have like the Crypt Keeper, who in this case would be the Ice Cream Man, and you have these various storylines that kind of go on. Or you could say kind of like a Twilight Zone, modern day, adaptation. But man, very creepy stuff. So, the events that happened in the first one are completely irrelevant to events that happened here in the second issue. The events in the first one, I think, is really 2 storylines that kind of covered. This one's really more on one focal character here in this one. But man, great stuff. Very, very dark storylines. So man, really enjoy it, man. Really, really do enjoy this title. So if you're looking for like the dark storyline, this is for you. These are still selling out, so happy to get 2 cover A's and 1 cover B. Okay, next up, another number 1 from Dynamite, we have Pumpkinhead. So I was able to pick up the photo variant of this one. I think this is cover B. Still cover price, or I guess worth cover price, but man, love that cover. So, this is more nostalgic for me more than anything else, really takes me back to the 80s, when I was kind of growing up and watching all these horror movies. If you are a fan of the original Pumpkinhead, this storyline, I thought they really did it good justice, in my opinion. So if you are a fan of the original storyline, I think you should pick this one up. I don't think, so I was a fan more of the monster itself and the nostalgic, for me. I don't think I'm going to be picking up number 2 on. I may check out the trade once this storyline's completed, but I will not be picking up number 2 on, but happy to pick up these 2 number 1s. Okay, next up, so this is from Heavy Metal comic line. So this is Taarna. This character was actually in that original 1980s Heavy Metal movie. And, I thought she was awesome, kind of like this, fantasy Valkyrie kind of coming out. That's right, I forgot this was very risque. Forgot about that, sorry about that, guys. But, so this kind of picks up, that same character that you were introduced into the movie. This is that exact same character. She's kind of like on a new adventure. There's a, is it a brother and sister, I think, who know each other and kind of run into her, and this is kind of like a futuristic world. Pure war is going on. It seems like there's multiple factions who are kind of against each other. Good type of fantasy art, kind of like an EXO feel to this artwork, kind of feel to this. This is straight up heavy metal artwork, love it. So I think this is yet another one I'm going to check out in trade. I don't think I'll pick up number 2. I will thumb through it there at the rack next month it comes out. Okay, from Titan Comics we have Bloodborne. So this is based on the video game. This number 1 was not really, so I never played the video game. I enjoyed the artwork that went along with this one issue. You know, I give it maybe like a 3.75 out of 5. However, you know, the storyline was just not enough to capture me. You know, I don't know if maybe if I played the video game, this would have captured me a little bit more, maybe like an ongoing story. But you know, it just really wasn't enough for me. Just, you know, not knowing enough of the storyline. So I will not be picking up a number 2, but was interesting read nonetheless. Alright, last up for you we have Krusty the Clown. So this is like a straight up, I think this is a one-shot to my understanding. It says number 1, but I think this is a one-shot. So this is pretty cool. You know, it kind of starts out, the premise of this was like he's like the last man on Earth, kind of like a Twilight Zone type of storyline. It doesn't really focus on that. This is kind of like a, it starts off that way, but not really. It's really like a Simpsons episode to where there's like an overall storyline, but then you have like little subplots that kind of go along. So if you still enjoy the Simpsons, you know, television show, this was a pretty good, you know, ongoing, you know, extension of that TV show in my opinion. You know, the dialogue, the way it kind of flows. So yeah, if you're a Simpsons fan, check this one out. If you're, you know, I love Krusty, so yeah, pick this one up. So guys, that's going to be it for this week's massive haul. Man, this was a big one. So guys, should you enjoy what you see here, please like and subscribe. Talk to you later.